Welcome to the Contractor Sales Academy podcast. I'm Tom. I got Derek and Steve with me here. What's going on, boys?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, fantastic, man. Steve, you ever been out with the boys? Now this is a long time ago because you've been married for quite a while. But you go out to a club or a bar or wherever you back in your day it was probably a disco or something, and you had your
Studio 54.
your shirts kind of opened up with your hairy chest and your feathered hair, banana comb sticking out of your pants, all that other stuff. Was there ever a female in the room that you would look at, maybe she was looking at you, and you'd look at and go, yeah, that's just not cutting it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have standards.
That's right.
And I have minimum standards. And you know what I found out? And don't tell anybody, but the more you drink, the lower
those standards are. That's right.
That's absolutely. You gauge them. Is that a 6-pack? Is that a 12-pack? Is that a bourbon?
That was a party ball. That was a mini keg.
Sure. And I can only imagine what their standards were for us.
Yeah, no shit.
Flip that one around. I can't believe I hooked up with her. Oh,
yeah, that's when Derek wakes up and goes, how the hell did I do that?
Yeah.
She said, I drank a mini keg before we met.
Yeah.
It's funny. Right. I was just thinking the other day that we have all these minimum standards throughout life, and that's one of them. And it's true, because there's a certain amount of people in the room that you're just not going to even approach because they're quote unquote below your standards. But a few years later, we start our own business, and we say to ourselves, I'm going to make a lot of money at this. I mean, nobody starts a business that says, I'm going to make nothing. I'm going to struggle and live just above broke for 20 years first. Okay. Nobody goes in with that game plan. So, and we don't set a minimum standard of what the heck we will and won't accept, particularly when it comes to money. For instance, think about it. Go back 5 years, Tom and Derek, both of you. Let's talk hourly wage. What do you think 5 years ago? What's the minimum hourly wage you would accept in your business? Tom, you're coaching. Derek, you're landscaping.
5 years ago, somewhere around 300.
$300 an hour.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And when you had to do something, Derek, on an hourly basis for your guys, like somebody wants to add on and time and material, what is your minimum hourly wage you would charge for your men?
You see, this is embarrassing because I didn't even know. Like I was so winging it. I'm not even sure. I can't even give you an answer because it wasn't till about 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, that I really understood my numbers. So I would just be lying if I threw something out. What's funny, what's popping into my head, which is crazy, it's like $35 an hour. I don't even know where the hell that came from, but probably wasn't too far off.
$35 an hour.
Yeah. I didn't
Steve, how about you, Steve?
In the swimming pool days, we had a foreman we could charge $75 for. This was, I quit 26 years ago. So this is 30 years ago, but it was $75 an hour for a technician and $50 an hour for a laborer. And so today you could probably double those numbers or 2.5 times those numbers, but there was a minimum standard. But yet, when we go do these jobs, we all do a job. Ask yourself this question. When you're the average person listening to us right now, they do a job. Do you think they go back and they find out exactly how much money they made on that job?
Well, I know the example or the answer immediately. 98%, 98 out of 100 contractors do not do a debrief after the job. They just don't.
So so what you're saying, let's go back to that bar. Okay.
Yep.
They might be dating, going after an ugly chick and not even know it.
They didn't even know it, man.
They're not even, it's like they're closing their eyes and picking a warm body in the crowd and dancing with them, not even knowing. Now, you wouldn't do that, would you? Would you just close your eyes, walk out in the middle of the dance floor, grab a warm body, hope it's a sex you want, and then
Right.
dance?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, with my luck, I'd get you.
Hey, he's a hell of
You
a dancer.
meant if it was your lucky day, you'd get me.
Yeah, that's right.
But just think about that. In so many places you go and things in your life, you go with your eyes open, you have a minimum standard, you stick by those. And if you're lucky, you actually get married and you marry above you. Almost every husband, particularly if they're standing in front of their wife, will tell you, I married above you, right?
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
when it comes to the whole business thing, they don't even have a stand. They have nothing to measure against.
Yeah. So it's funny, Derek, you were talking about the $35 an hour. I was thinking back to when I first started. My first business was a painting business. My uncle he was a painter, charged $55 an hour. And so I'm like, I'll charge $55 an hour too. And I remember one time I was talking to this customer and he was going, well, how do you charge? I said, well, we bill out at $55 an hour. And he goes, oh, is that for your whole crew? And I said, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So it wasn't even per man hour. It was like $440 a day, an 8-hour day for like 3 of us or whatever the hell it was. So that's like, crazy money. And then over the years, we got it to where we're about $100 an hour as a painter. And so quite the change. That's per man hour, by the way. So Steve, you had some standards when you started your pond business.
Yes.
And I think it's very important that we go there.
From the second I started this, you got to understand, I had a business, sold the business. And then 6 years later, I started this pond business, knowing nothing about it, except for I was going to have to go buy a pickup truck and go dig holes and push rocks. That's all I knew. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to go do that, I'm going to make $1,000 a day for myself in my pocket. That's it. That is the minimum standard I set. And I priced everything for the last 19 years accordingly. So that was my minimum standard, $1,000 a day.
But Steve, how'd you get any work? That was way higher than everybody else.
In the first year, and I didn't know, I knew nothing, man. I managed to put 80 grand in my pocket.
First year. So you made more than the average income in the United States, not knowing simply because you had a standard. Okay.
And if I think about it, in Maryland, we have about 220 work days that you actually work outside.
Yep.
And I bet you I didn't, according to my own calculation, I would have worked 80 days to make 80 grand. But
yeah,
I could have worked as many as 100. So I only worked whatever 100 days is. That's a little over, that's 3 months, 3 point something months to make that kind of money. Because, and I tell you how I did it. Walmart has 35 billion in sales. Nordstrom says 5 billion in sales. So Walmart is 7 times what Nordstrom is. So it made sense to me that I would have to hear 7 no's from Walmart customers before I finally get to a Nordstrom's. So I was patient like a batter. I waited for my pitch, my customer at my price, and I took it. So I only worked a third of the time, but I made my minimum, which turned out to be a good thing.
Pretty simple.
I love that.
Like most contractors just make it way, well, they don't even know where their standards should be. Now they have some standards. Yeah. What's interesting, most contractors have a crazy high standard on their workmanship.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the money doesn't follow it.
Well, the standard that a lot of them have is every industry has their industry standards of what their profit margins are. There's a lot of groups and coaching groups, which are all good and they're helpful, but they benchmark. We're going to take a bunch of landscapers and benchmark gross profit, benchmark net profit based on company size. And they come up with these averages. And so they go, this is what it should be. Where Steve, since I've known you, you've always approached it from the opposite way, going with the going standards are. We're going to set our own standard here. We're going to reverse engineer, our pricing and the way we run our businesses and all that other stuff. And so when you're talking about you worked 80 to 100 days your first year, 19, 20 years ago, put 80 grand in your pocket, you probably worked a third of the days most guys in your industry worked.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
I drove my kids to school. So we didn't even meet till 8:30. My crew didn't even meet till after traffic, 8:30 in the morning, because we all took our kids to school.
Yeah.
And then we tried to beat the traffic to come home.
All right. So maybe 7 hours in the field a day.
6.
Yeah. So, and I think this is the big takeaway, hopefully, for people here today is there's a different way. Like you don't have to settle for the industry standard. You don't have to settle for the chick who's a 4 instead of the chick who's a 9. Okay. Or a 10. And, I think a lot of us, and I've been there, but a lot of us settle, because it's uncomfortable to go up and talk to the hot chick at the bar, right? You got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you're going to talk to some 4 foot, 300-pound troll in the bar, it doesn't take any courage to do that, right? But anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this other than get out of your comfort zone.
Other than you better open your mouth and not to change feet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
because
Yeah, I was going, how am I going to finish this?
So here's how you finish it, Tom. And tell me if this happened in your house. Whenever you did something stupid and you told your parents, I was just doing what everybody else did. And they would go, if everybody else ran into a burning building,
Yeah.
they're basically saying, no. Well, that's exactly what you're saying, Tom. If everybody else in the industry ran into a burning building, industry standards, would you do the same thing? Well, apparently the answer is yes in that case.
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah. If everybody else in the industry is living above broke, what do you fucking care for? Why would you even want that?
Uh-huh.
You have to have enough courage to stand alone and get the life you want. And you just say, I want a good life. That's a pretty good general thing everybody wants. And part of that is making a minimum amount of money, just like that minimum standard you had in a bar. And that's what you got to go get. You got to have the courage to go get that. And don't listen to everybody else, because you know what? Had I listened to anybody else, particularly in the goddamn pond industry, I'd have been broke right now like they are.
It's funny. I recorded a podcast the other day about you're fighting like hell for the wrong things. And some of those things, I won't go through the whole outline of the podcast here, obviously, but we fight to hold on to our comfort zone. We fight to hold on to our opinions about pricing, about sales and what's possible, about people and hiring and all these other things, when in reality, we should be fighting like hell for conquering our limiting beliefs. We should be fighting for our bank account. We should be fighting for our happiness and satisfaction, and for those that we love, and for respect. Okay. And that's what that just reminded me of when you shared that. It's like contractors are so quick to point out all the reasons why their standards can't be higher. And it's because they're typically hanging out with a bunch of people that think like them. So there's my soapbox moment, man. All right, I'm done.
It's true though. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, that truly is. When I go back to when I very first started cutting grass, I was just going by what the guy that I was working for, what he charged. I didn't realize that he didn't have any overhead. So I was like, well, hell, he's doing okay. I'll just keep doing that. And then I bought a truck. Then I hired a guy, bought another mower, didn't change my prices, couldn't figure out why I was broke. It was just like, son of a bitch. So I hope nobody followed my standards at that point, because it was not a good thing. So did great work though. I mean, unbelievable work.
You're doing Nordstrom's work for Walmart prices. There you go.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable. Giving away, It's like, it's, as you say that, I literally went to get Aaron a birthday gift, and I went to the particular store, Williams Sonoma, and got her a couple of things she wanted, actually 3 things. And gift wrapping was $8.50. And I was like, go for it, wrap all 3. Not even a question. Like, I'm good. And she said, you know what? I'm only going to charge you for 2. And I said, why are you only going to charge me for 2? She said, because I just think it's too expensive. And
Wow.
I went, okay. I mean, charge me for the 3rd one, please. Like, trust me, because this 25 bucks or whatever it's going to be, I can't go buy the what you're going to do is way better. Like, you don't even know the value that you're giving me here, but for some reason you're wanting to give me a deal. I just think it's too expensive. I was like, okay, figure that one out. So don't sell like you buy.
So if we went back a million years and the 3 of us were part of our caveman group, right? The worst thing that could ever happen to one of us is for us to leave the safety of the group, to be shunned or even leave voluntarily, because what happens if we leave the group? We are freaking lunch for some saber-tooth tiger, and quickly. So so we never want to go against the grain of the group. We need the group to survive. So fast forward to today, a million years later, your brain is still that brain of a million years ago, and it will lie, cheat, and steal to you to keep you in the comfort of the group.
100%.
It will not allow you to step outside that comfort zone and be bold, be courageous, be vulnerable, and be wealthy. That's a shit you got to get over.
Yep. That's the perfect place to wrap up here today. So everybody, we appreciate you hanging out with us and listening. If you found any value in this or any of our episodes, we ask you to go give us a review on iTunes. It means the world to us, so that we could get this into the ears of more contractors, so that we can all level up together, run stronger businesses and all that stuff. Derek, Steve, appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to you all next time.